Well, a very good morning and welcome into the Form. And boy, we've got a bumper show to look forward to also. Let's have a look what's coming up on the agenda this morning. We'll hear from Bevan Sweeney with his thoughts around the new Plymouth race meeting. Tony Pike will have domestic runners we'll look at, and also two out of Flemington. Sam Friedman, the co-trainer of Artorias, we get the latest on that runner and the team for the day. Michael Kent Jr., the boom horse in Ayrton, will catch up with him. Ben Ascari to talk about his thoughts on the meeting out of Flemington. And Brad Gray with everything Sydney. Joined by Bevan Sweeney now to have a look at the racing out of New Plymouth. And Bevan will jump straight to the Open 1200 race number 5 on the program.
Yeah, interesting day across the whole program. Of course, extreme day BP with the short and the long of at the Open handicap. What a comparison to Wanganui in the Open 14, which was pretty much a listed race. We only have minimal runners in the Open 12 for $40,000. And it's a race where I think Alan Sherrick probably holds the strongest of hands. His mare, well, she's very, very talented. We saw her run in the Opanaki Cup where she flashed home from 3 back the fence. Tavies Court was brave the other day at Wanganui, fighting on with the big weight. So he can also carry weight. But if you're looking for the horse in the Open 12 that's probably going to handle track conditions the best, it is her, and I think that she in the market is probably the best bet. And look, I expect Alan Sherrick to turn his day around a BP from the other day when things went pretty pear-shaped for the team after such a wonderful season. So, yeah, I think she is the one in the Open 12.
All right, then. Well, let's move on to race number 8. Now, this is the Open handicap over 1,800 metres. Once again, Alan Sherrick has a strong hand in the race with Collins Street, who's rated around $5.50. Happy Star, $5.50, and $5 around Very Flash. What are you liking in this one?
Oh, I like Very Flash. Since this horse has been with Kevin Myers, hasn't it? Found a bit of its old form. I thought it was very, very good. Not just at Wanganui as it led into the Wellington Cup. It was an interesting preparation, but they almost got the job done, didn't they, down at Riccarton. This horse is going really, really well. And I think New Plymouth, probably a track that suits it, having been there in prior performances. We all know this horse's ability. Yes, it lost its form for a patch of time, but now it seems to be getting right back into its best of form. In an even market, and there's a respect about Collins Street and others clearly in that particular race. But yeah, if I'm having an each way bet in the staying feature on the program, apart from the 32 and 10 BP, Very Flash Kevin Myers, I think, is coming into this race in a perfect vein of form and will be very, very fit with the amount of travelling and racing he has done in recent times.
Okay, let's have a look overall at the program, Bevan, for your best and value.
I'm going to head towards the back end of the program. Race number 7, I'm going to have a bit of fun, BP, 32 10 metres. You're never 100% sure. And this is a race that has been taken out by horses that have historically had a bit of jumping form and a lot of winter form. But for my eye, Penelope Cruz is going really nicely at the present moment. She raced the other day on a track that didn't really suit her. She's a real wet tracker. They'll get that at New Plymouth. I know this horse has been trained for this race pretty much throughout this preparation. She's at $4.20. For me, she's clearly the best galloper in that particular race who's going to get track conditions to suit her. I really do think that 420 is probably going to disappear come race day, especially with the Alan Sherrick factor coming into play at home. So I think that's possibly the best value on the program. The best bet, we have to wait till the last, and it's another Alan Sherrick runner and Ladies Man. Now, I wasn't sure what to make of the run at Te Rapa, but first time up there, having a look at that track and just getting a little bit off them on a race that they really did kick off the front. I expected more, to be honest, from you. I'm going to think that the run at New Plymouth on a holding track probably just held this horse up. But you just can't get away from the fact that Alan has spoken about this horse in such high regard over such a long period of time. And at home on a track that I think will probably be a bit looser than they've struck in recent times. I think that's probably one, albeit you get to the last, depending on where does the track end up. But look, I think that's probably the short price one on the program on a difficult betting day, BP, across these fields, to be honest.
Certainly is, Sweens. Thanks for your time. 9 races kick off at 20 minutes past 12. by Tony Pipe now to go through his runners domestically first of all. And Tony, we head to the Waikato meeting race number 1 where you have Field of Gold in the first race. Really like what I saw off the most recent trial. Ready to go?
Yeah, he's a half brother to Sherwood Forest. Probably got a little bit more brilliance than he had, but really progressive 3-year-old. 50-50 on kicking off on the wet track on Saturday, but we really need to get the show on the road. We'd like to think he's a chance of getting down to Riccarton possibly. So we're probably going to have to take our chances from the good draw on small field on Saturday. And if he handles the ground, it'd be very hard to beat. His trials promising, and he's a nice horse going forward.
Yeah, his figures were good too, Tony. In his very first run behind Tsunami Sam, he produced the right figures to say that he's a nice horse going forward.
Yeah, exactly that race. As you say, it rated really highly on a few form experts ringing, so it was surprisingly one of the high rated 2-year-old races for last season. So the format of it's obviously been very solid with Kenny Race fully running second, and he's only got to improve a little bit off that. To be competitive, said I think the 1300 will suit too. Probably 1100 first up was just that touch sharp for him, and it looks an ideal race to kick off as long as he can handle the track.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's move on to race number 3 now, Tony. This is 74 1600. You have Rapid Falls in this race. She got back in her trial from a wide gate, and she was doing all her best work on the line into third.
Yeah, she's come up really well this preparation, Brendan. I think she's in for quite a good campaign. Obviously, it's a bit of a starting point for her as well. She should get through the track better than most. Obviously, the small field. She'll have to go back from a wide gate. We're just looking for her to hit the line strongly late. Probably not a winning chance Saturday, but definitely one to follow as she gets up and trip through the early stages of the spring and summer.
Race 5, Marchioness, really nice return from her. Once she found that right spot in that gap that she was keen to take, she was very explosive. She's a horse that moves up in grade again. What do you make of her chances in race 5?
She's just starting to mature now, and look, she's only a lightly race mare. She still does a fair bit wrong in the races. Probably she burst through and maybe hit the front even a bit too soon last start and got a bit lost when she did. But look, she's really going well this prep. Her first up one was good. She's trained on well, and from a nice draw, she should be very competitive again, even up in grade.
Race number 6, River Run. He just seems to be one of these horses that constantly finds bad luck, and he got no luck once again last weekend.
Yeah, he's a frustrating horse. He's only won the 3 races. He probably should have won more. He's always got that red light on and gets everyone in for next start and gets held up again. So, look, a frustrating horse for punters, but he is going really well. Probably the best form we've had him in for a long time. If he got clear air the other day, I'd suggest he would have gone very close to winning. So, again, small field, probably better that he's drawn a touch out. He's not going to get held up, from that draw. We'll just probably ride him like we did a couple of starts ago. He'll just go back in the small field and just sort of get to the outside team and try and take bad luck out of the equation this time.
You are taking one to New Plymouth in race number 5 for the chances there of Divine Dive in the Open 1200.
Yeah, just probably didn't want to clash with Marchioness at T Rapa and look at it's actually a very strong 74 race at T Rapa as well. So he's a horse that does handle loose, wet conditions, which it looks likely it's going to be at Taranaki. Obviously, he's up to open company, but with the claim, he's getting on a very light weight, and obviously with the COVID extra kilos, some of the those high class winter gallopers are carrying a lot of weight. So if he can get a soft trip from gate 1 and with that light weight on his back, it's a race he could steal.
What's the best of your domestic chances on the weekend, Tony?
Look, I like to think Marchioness can carry on with it, and I think she's a very progressive mare and just drawn to get a lovely trip again. I think we've got some nice chances at Te Rapa said. I'll be disappointed if we can't get a couple as well. Obviously, Field of Gold and River Run you'd expect to be winning, but he's probably cost too many people too much to be getting too confident at a short price.
Oh yeah, yep, I'm in that boat. Let's move to Flemington now, Tony. Chat about your 2 chances there. Tutukaka, first of all, in race number 2. How's his preparation going as we get to see him, kick off what was likely to try and get to that derby?
Yeah, the derby is obviously the main race he's headed over there for. Ideally, we would have liked to have trialled him before he left, but obviously with the COVID restrictions, we couldn't do that. In saying that, he only had a fortnight out in the paddock after he came back from Brisbane. He's carrying plenty of residual fitness. Obviously, it's just a starting point on Saturday. They've given us the visitors draw first up in Melbourne, which they often do. He'll just have to go back and get some cover. And as long as he's just winding up hitting the line nicely late, it gives him a look around Flemington and sets him up beautifully for the UCI Stakes 3 weeks later over 1,800 metres.
And your other charge over there too is Sherwood Forest, who lines up in race number 9. I know it would have been nice, Tony, to be able to get a race day run into the horse over here in New Zealand, but you've been able to get a trial. What do you make of Sherwood Forest heading into the weekend, and obviously further the better once he gets into his preparation?
Yeah, look, it's a pretty strong handicap race on Saturday, and look, he is going to need the run. Obviously, we missed the race. He was going to run at Te Rapa, but obviously with COVID restrictions, that was cancelled, and then obviously the barrier trial that he's only had the one trial. We were going to trial him again before he headed over, but unfortunately we couldn't do that either. So he's got plenty of base work underneath him, but he's going to improve for the run Saturday. Drawn to get a nice trip, and it's just going to give us a bit of a level on where we think he's sort of going to be placed through the Melbourne Carnival. Frosty rides him, and he'll get a good feel of the horse, and just whether or not he's up to a Melbourne Cup preparation or not, we'll just find out Saturday and probably the run after that. And Melbourne, there's so many tiers of these nice staying races. I'm sure he'll find a level that is competitive, through the Spring Carnival.
And just before we let you go, Tony, just a quickly update on Catalyst. We saw him trial nicely last Friday. We have the first Group 1 here in New Zealand in the Tarzino. Everything seems to be falling into place.
Yeah, really happy with him, Brendan. Obviously, his trial on the synthetic the other day was very good. We actually just got back from Tiara. We took him and Tell over for a gallop on the course proper there, just to get them away from home, and a gallop on a grass track. He's moving fantastic, and probably pulled up as clean in the wind as he has since he's been in the stable. So I think we're getting near race day fitness, but obviously there's nothing like that match hardened fitness to bring you on. He's been off the scene for a long time, and we're just hoping he's going to get the 90% fit. That class takes him a long way, and I'm sure he's going to perform extremely well. We couldn't be happier with him.
And have you got one for us over the next few weeks, unleashing any nice horses as spring contenders, Tony?
Yeah, look, it's probably going to be sort of D-Day at Hawke's Bay next weekend. We're probably going to end up with about 10 or 11 runners down there at Hawke's Bay, and obviously a lot of them will be fresh up, heading into hopefully some nicer races throughout the spring. So looking forward to the next 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to have some big numbers racing, and it'll be interesting to see which ones put their hands up. But probably Tell All after his work this morning. He's nicely graded in a rating 74, 1200 fresh up at Hawke's Bay. I think he's going to be very hard to beat in a fresh state.
Oh, just quickly too, Tony, what about Kufu? Of course, we saw him win last Friday at Hawera. That would have been nice to be able to get that win on the board. Where would we like to see him next?
Yeah, he's just starting to do things properly. It was nice to see him relax in the run the other day, and it mightn't have been a strong maiden, but he did it nicely, and he'll improve a lot. He was pretty big in conditions. So at this stage, we've penciled in the 3-year-old 1,300 metre race that was going to be at Alizé on the 25th. Obviously, that's up in the air very much where that's going to be held. I think there's a possibility it could be at Matter of Auckland still, and those sort of restrictions. So, it's a nice spacing, and obviously after that we'll get a fair old line on whether we think he's good enough to be Guineas bound at this point in time. And if he is, he'll head down south with hopefully a few of the others.
All right, Pikey, let's hope there's a couple of winners there for you, and all the best. Joined by Sam Friedman to go through the team at Flemington. First of all, Artorius in race number 2. Boy, he savaged the line first up.
Yeah, it was a really good return from him. He's a high-class 3-year-old colt, on a Guineas path. So, he ran right up to our expectations. And, look, he's improved out of that run. He's a lot fitter, and he should love getting to Flemington. He's never run there, but it's certainly a track he should love.
Yeah, and also getting beyond 1,300 metres for the very first time.
Yeah, it's something we've been really excited to do with him. He's obviously Blue Diamond winner over 6 furlongs, and then he ran in the Slipper, and so everything's been over the short course. But he gives us every indication that 1,400 and beyond is going to be right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, how would you like to see the race panning out for you?
Oh, look, we'd like to see some nice speed. Hopefully they run along at a nice enough tempo. He's, out to 1,400, he might be able to settle a little bit closer, but we don't really want to take him out of his comfort zone. He is generally a horse you let balance up and hit the line. So as long as they're going an even enough tempo and they don't crawl around there, and every horse gets their chance, that'd be the main thing. All
right, let's move on to race number 4 now. You've got 2 in this race, Frost Flowers and also Flying Evelyn. What do you make of their chances?
Yeah, look, the both first up runs were okay. I mean, Flying Evelyn was probably very soft in condition, and that probably gave out the last little bit. She's had a good trial since with the blinkers on, and she showed good improvement. She's run very well down the straight at her second career start, so she'll run a cheeky race. I would think Frost Flowers is probably the better chance, and can run a bold race at a price. First up, we elected to try and sort of lead on her, and she just did a whole lot of work to hold them out, and it told late. She wasn't beaten far. She too gets the blinkers on, and the work that we've seen in the blinkers, she's a lot sharper, and obviously an impressive winner on debut down the straight as well. So I think she's a pretty good each way chance.
Okay, let's move on to race number 6 in the Elite Select. Chica Fuerte, your charge here. Twice a Group 3 winner over 1,600 metres and 2,000 metres last preparation. What's the expectation first up tomorrow?
Yeah, look, we're going into this race with an open mind. She's not a horse that we get a good guide on at home or in her trials. She's always been a very laid back filly, and her work leading into this is not dissimilar to that. So she's not a horse you get a good guide on at home, but she tends to turn up race day and race pretty well, albeit she's probably better over a little bit further, and she'll probably improve for the run. So just very much a look and see for her on the weekend.
All right, then you've got Warning in the last race. Now, of course, if you go back 12 months ago, he ran quite a cheeky race in the Makybe Diva first up over 1,600 metres. What are you expecting from him over 1,700 metres first up?
Yeah, he did. He was a very good run in the Makybe Diva first up last week. He was elected to go for obviously the softer option this year. He's on a path towards the Metropolitan at his next start, and then after that we'll look to go to the Magic Million Stays race up there in Queensland. So we'd just be looking for him to be running on and hitting the line, much like he can when he's right, and there's hopefully a little bit of cushion in the track. The older he's getting, the more he probably appreciates giving the track, and his run in the Australia Cup, I think the ground was probably a bit too firm for him last preparation. So we'll keep an eye on that. But look, he's in good order. He'll definitely improve for the outing, and when we get him up to Sydney for the Metropolitan. So probably similar boat to Chica Fuerte, very much just a look and see, and hopefully that he's doing his best work late.
Nice one, Sam. Before we let you go, if you got one for Kiwi punters we can look out for, maybe in the provincials or a first starter that we can maybe have $1 or $2 on coming up?
Yeah, I think there's one on Sunday, a horse called Monave, it's his second race start. He was a good cheeky run first up. He hit the line nicely, did a bit wrong. He steps out to the 1350. He should certainly be finishing right there on Sunday.
Brilliant. All the best, mate, and go well.
Cheers. Thanks.
Great to be joined by Michael Kent Jr. now as we gear up for a big weekend out of Flemington. And Ayrton, the horse that's on everybody's lips at the moment. Michael, how's he come through his first up run?
Yeah, there he is. He's lovely order, guys. He's really bright and well. So very much looking forward to seeing him again Saturday. He's got a nice barrier, nice weight. John Allen takes the ride again, and he worked very well Tuesday morning. So pretty confident he'll run well again.
Yeah, those ears were cocking at the back there, listening into everything you're saying. He's always pretty, very placid. Is that his nature?
Yeah, he has a little spark in him, so we just try and keep him quiet. He's a very alert horse. He loves walking out and standing still and taking in the environment. But he's become more and more professional, and that was definitely his most professional win. He was pretty good in the mounting yard, a bit on his toe, but he behaved well behind the gates, and he sort of, whilst he missed the start, he did do everything else right. He relaxed well. When John Allen asked him, he quickened up nicely, and I think he ran 22 flat for his last 400. So he's learned to sort of be more of a racehorse, and I think he's such a big raw horse. He's just going to keep getting better and better. Yeah,
his closing speed was good, Michael, off good tempo, wasn't it? And John Allen was able to slot him in off that tricky gate and find that nice position.
Yeah, he was. We didn't thought we'd be that far back, but they went along at a really good tempo, and it worked out well. So, I mean, he can race forward as well. He's drawn 5, I think, on Saturday. So if he run, there's not much speed in the race. If he ends up in the first 4, that'd be fine as well. Yeah, he's very tactically versatile.
The last time you spoke to Kiwi punters, you said that he was around that sort of 85% mark. So that was a couple of weeks ago. Where do you sort of see him for the weekend?
Yeah, he's come on a lot. Whilst he had 3 weeks off from Queensland to Melbourne, he was a fair bit behind his first up run, but good horses get away with it. I think he's come on plenty. We're trying to peak him for the October 30 race, the Golden Eagle. So still got a bit left in the tank. I think if we could win on Saturday, we'd have a good look at the Epsom handicap. He'll get in there with 52 kilograms. And we note that the last 2 winners of the Golden Eagle have come by that race. 4 weeks between runs with a trial in between. So it probably suits nicely. And I see his favourite for the Epsom. So I think with that weight, he's going to be a nice chance.
All right, well, let's quickly touch on the other runner at the meeting too, and that is Quantum Mechanic. Now, a horse who, last preparation, really put it together, Group 1 placed, Group 2 winner, Group 2 placed, and a Group 3 placing also. A couple of good trials, a jump out and a trial. What do you make of her chances leading into the weekend?
We're not sure she can win. She normally takes a run or two. It's a very hot mares race, but she's going super. She went to a whole new level last time in. She began the prep rated 69. She's now 104 rater, Group 2 winner, and a Group 1 place getter. So she's now firmly in that range of Group 2, Group 1 mares races. We're pretty confident she can win another one, but I just think first up she might sort of drift back midfield and run in for a nice 4th, 5th. Look, not saying she can't win, but just think she takes a run to get fitter, and I reckon look for her 2nd, 3rd up at the mile.
Okay, then, well, that's the 2 runners for the weekend. Is there one for punters we can look out for, maybe in the coming days or the next week or 2 out of the stable?
Yeah, there's 2 actually on Sunday at Cranbourne. They were both bought from Karaka, both by Tavistock, both colts, and you go a long way to find nicer 3-year-old staying colts. So in race 1 at Cranbourne, you got a horse called Gunstock. He's more your real staying type, beautiful, big striding, Derby type of horse. He's over a mile first up. He should have won his first start a few months ago. He's had 3 trials. He'll get back and run on. If he doesn't win, follow him. And then in the race after race 2 is Bedford Estate. He's a bit sharper. They worked together on Tuesday morning. Bedford Estate was much sharper. So running him over 7 furlongs, and he's a lovely colt. I think he's more your spring Derby horse, and they can both run really well on Sunday.
Beautiful. Noted those down. All the best, Michael, and as always, thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you.
Great to be joined by Ben Ascari from Racing.com. And Ben, what a cracking program out of Flemington coming up.
It sure is. Maccabi Diva Stakes Day. It's a fascinating feature on the card with Incentivise stepping out. One of the more interesting runners going around, if not the most interesting runner on the program. But there's a bit of depth to that race and a really solid undercard too. So the likes of Ayrton, Artorias, etc. Going to be a great day of racing.
Could it be a day for the shorties at the early part of the program for multi-punters?
I think so. I've tipped a few of them. I do think if you're into, if you want to multi a few shorties up, I think Artorias with even luck should be winning. And I think Ayrton's probably the most likely winning chance on the program. It's hard to see Ayrton being beaten now that he's had the run under the belt. And I am tipping a few favourites tomorrow. So hopefully things work out nice and straight for the punters for the most part on the card.
Okay, well, let's get to the Maccabi Diva, the Group 1, Ben, race number 8. First question I want to come to you around this race is there seems to be a lack of tempo in the race. So what does happen in the early stages of this race?
Yeah, we've been really talking about it all week here at Racing.com, waxing lyrical about what happens with the speed map, hypotheticals. To be honest, I think Incentivise looks the likely leader. If there's any sort of intent, he should find the front. Tafane probably can be right there. Other horses like, does Colette roll the dice? Can Agon be closer if he begins with them? Can Inspirational Girl be closer? Those are a couple of horses that can tend to be slowly away, but there's an opportunity for a lot of these horses to be closer, and there's a real opportunity for Incentivise to own this race. Then further complicating matters, though, you've got the fact that there are significant winds forecast at Flemington on Saturday, which if they're up around that 40 k's an hour, it's going to make things hard to be on speed with the way they're coming into their face on the home turn. So I think it's going to be pretty messy speed map wise.
Okay. So if that's the case, which way are you trying to see the race panning out and maybe what you're liking as your top selection?
Yeah, I think the horse that's just over the odds and the one that there's a real edge in the market is Ki Nortique, the Japanese galloper. Made his Australian debut in the Wink Stakes at a huge price. Ran one of the fastest last 200-metre sectionals of the day. I think getting to 1,600 metres, big track Flemington, wide draw, they're all ticks for that horse. And at $13, I think we can back him each way, maybe 1-by-3 basis, and get a nice run for your money at a good price. There's so many queries over so many of the runners in the race. I think at the price, he's the way I'll be playing the race each way.
Yeah, you speak about incentivise and even Tefani, 1,600 metres. They're all those queries that go into the melting pot around this race, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. Tefani, 1,600 metres. The map for some of the others, Inspirational Girl, Agon. Dry Ground for Colette, Agon. Incentivise, how much intent is there? You know, if he wins, he might be open to a penalty in the Caulfield and Melbourne Cup. So I just think Ki Nortique and Mo'unga are probably the here and now coming out of that race, but also you're getting a price to find out with Ki Nortique.
Certainly. Okay, Ben, you've got a couple of other bets for us in races 4 and 6. Talk us through those.
Yeah, race 4, I like in the Cat Don Teebs, the Kieran Maher and Dave Eustace trained galloper by the name of Crystal Bound. Now, she created a huge impression, winning by a big margin in fast time on debut. Went up to the Percy Sykes Group 2 level at her second start in Sydney. Was beaten by Jar May, who's won again since. I just think she's got a lot of upside. The opposition, their form looks good on paper. I just don't know how much depth there is to any of their form, really. They look 2-year-old types. Whether they'll all go on with it, I'm not sure, as Crystal Bound has some real upside. So better than $3. I'm happy to be with Crystal Bound there. And Instant Celebrity, I know she's a Group 1 winner, but jury was out a little bit for me coming into this spring, and she really surprised me by how well she went with Probabeel. I didn't give her much hope of beating Probabeel last time out, but with the 60 kilos, she surprised me how well she went. She avoids Probabeel, which I think is a great thing, going to the Let's Elope rather than clashing with the likes of Probabeel, Bo Rosser and Behemoth in the Sir Rupert Clarke. And I like the wide draw. She's got a great second up record. I think 1,400 is her perfect distance. Getting that 3-wide running line from a wide draw and be finishing down the middle of the track. So I'm going to have something on Crystal Bound on the 4th and Instant Celebrity in the 6th.
All right, Ben, great punting day. Can't wait for the coverage from racing.com. All the best.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Joined
by Brad Gray now to talk about the meeting out of Kembla Grange. First of all, Brad, what are we expecting sort of weather-wise and how the track might play there?
Yeah, hello to you, Brendan, and everybody out there looking to have a punt on this meeting. It's going to be a firm and fast deck. We saw it a couple of weeks ago where they were breaking track records left, right and centre. So as I look out my window now, the sun's blazing again. So I imagine we're going to be on a pretty firm surface there. They probably won't let it become quite as firm as last time. They probably learned a little lesson in a way there, but I still expect them to be running some pretty slick times with it pretty hard for horses to come from right from the back and make up the ground.
Okay, good info. Well, let's get to the Shirako race number 6 over 1,200 metres. New Zealand interest in the race with Entriviere as the favourite and very well-backed favourite too here in New Zealand. How do you see the race panning out, Brad?
Yeah, well, I think she's the horse to beat. I wouldn't dare come on this show and tip anything to beat her because I know how fond you guys are of this horse. And I think rightly so. Like, her record speaks for itself, doesn't it? I guess when you're considering her prospects on Saturday, you've got to throw into the mix that she does come off a minor setback. The bonus with that is I think the punters have got to see her trial since, and she trialled really nicely. So we can probably conclude that she is fine, all guns blazing towards the carnival, and she's so well placed. Like, you look at the conditions of this race, and I've got them in front of me here. She's a 107 rater. She's got 55.5. Forbidden Love, 102 up the top, and she's got 58 kilos. So across the entire Kembla Grange meeting, there's no better placed horse. And I think she's certainly the horse to beat. The market reflects that, but there's a lot to like, isn't there? She's got a fantastic record. She's got a great racing style. James McDonald riding, and she should just pop in somewhere behind the speed. So mighty hard to beat.
What's the dangers around Entriviere?
Yeah, there's a few. So you're going back towards that 1,100 metre race that we saw for a lot of these coming out of. Forbidden Love was very good there. I think she's probably more of a third up 1,400 metre betting prospect, though. You've got Fatus. She is to stretch her brilliance to 1,200 metres, but her only run over the trip in the past was a little bit inconclusive because on a heavy track, we know that she's got a wicked turn of foot, and maybe a first upper, a fellow first upper in Marbusha could be the sticking point here. She's a horse with a pretty good turn of foot. She maps well. She's trialled well. I know that the Snowden camp have always held her in pretty high regard. So if there is a danger, maybe it's her, Marbusha.
Okay, then. Overall, you think on Trivia is a bet?
I do. Yeah, I do. Whether you want to play now, I think she's around $2.60, $2.70 in Australia as we speak. Maybe she'll get back out towards $3, but I think if you're shopping $2.90, $3, she's certainly a bet.
Okay, then let's move on to race number 7, the Theo Marks, Group 2, 1,300 metres. How do you see this panning out?
Good speed in the race. Big Parade's your obvious one, and he's the one that the punters have really rallied behind. You can see why. He broke a track record first up. He did it with 61 kilos. He went straight to the front and gave them a towel. Now, this is a harder race, so he's going to have some high-quality horses breathing down his neck late, but he drops to 53.5. He's on the same track, another firm deck, and he draws to find the rail again. So if he gets any kind of control in this race, he's so hard to run down. I think it's one of those races where you've got to be mindful of potentially finding the best suited horse in the race as opposed to the best horse in the race. Because if I was to own a horse out of the race, it'd be Private Eye. His first up win was phenomenal. The sectionals that he ran. The difference here is that he's going to be dead last on a really firm track, and he's going to be giving weight and a big head start away to Big Parade, which is a really tricky task. And I know that Joe Pride has come out during the week and said, in the scheme of things, they're all, of course, important races, but this is on the lower end because he's going towards Epsom, he's going towards Golden Eagles. So if he gets out the back, Private Eye, and flashes home into third, nothing lost, really. So I expect him to be hitting the line, whether it's too late, though, and I think Big Parade is certainly the horse to beat in the race.
Okay, then that's your top selection, Big Parade?
Yeah, he's the horse to beat. He's very hard to beat.
Okay, then let's move on to race number 8 now, Brad. The Run to the Rose. Well, this is always a good race each and every year, isn't it? You know, you got a Slipper winner, a Size Produce winner, you got the San Domenico form, JJ Atkins winner. Each and every year it produces this type of race, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't lack for much, does it? You've got the cream of the crop as far as the 2-year-olds go, probably with the exception of Artorias, who's running down in Melbourne. But outside of that, there's certainly nowhere to hide in a race like this. Fascinating race. As far as a betting prospect, though, it is really, really tricky. You've got Animo as a firm favourite at the moment. Do you want to be backing a horse that's had a little setback? He's only had one trial over 700 metres, and it was a pretty soft trial. But then you've also got to counter that he's worth too much to Godolphin for them to be throwing him into a race as a colt half-baked. So I think you can take confidence in that he's going to be ready to go. Can I take $2.40? No, not with stolen money. I think if there's a bet in the race, maybe it is Converge. I do concede that 1,200 metres is probably well short of what his optimum trip is going to be. And if he runs well here, he's going to be very hard to beat in a Golden Rose and maybe a Guineas. But his recent trial, wow, it was something to behold. He showed a really nice turn of foot. And if he's within a couple of lengths at the top of the straight and he can be close enough to them, I think no horse is going to be finishing harder. So if he gets out to $5, $6, $7, maybe he becomes the bet in the race. I think if there's a big improver from 2 to 3, it's Home Affairs. I've been really impressed with his trials, and how often have we seen Chris Waller train 2-year-olds really take that mighty leap when they're 3, because he's just so soft on them, and what they do at 2 is all natural ability. He's trialled 3 times this time back, and he's really caught the eye. So I think if the one the market has missed is Home Affairs, but as far as a bet goes, I'll just be waiting to see what price Converge gets to.
All right, then play the waiting game there, maybe around the Run to the Rose race number 8. Best and value, Brad, for the day?
Yeah, best for me comes up in the Dulcifer, the day's other feature, which is race 5, number 7, Silent Impact, for Gabe Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. This horse has won 2 from 2, and he's done it over trips that should be well short of his best. Like, you look at his breeding, he's by Maurice, and the Dam is an Oaks winner, and he's winning over 1,000 metres and 1,200 metres. So I know that he's 7 weeks between runs, but if you want that set up with a particular stable in terms of overcoming it, it's Gabe Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. They've poured the work into him. He's had a hit out over 1,000 metres in a trial where he's really made to find the line, and I think this race sets up beautifully for him to potentially make a bit of a statement as he goes towards the Spring Champion Stakes. As far as the value goes, it comes up in the midway. As I just scroll up here, what race is that? That's race 4, number 5, Barossa Rosa for Tracy Bartley. Has a really good form reference behind Great News a couple starts back, and she's very lightly raced. So I think it's fair to say that her best is certainly ahead of her. And again, she's another horse that's trialled particularly well. So she'll go in as the best value there.
Nice one. We've marked those down, Brad. Happy punting over the weekend.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome back to The Form. Chance to have a look at the races at Te Rapa on the weekend. My best bet will be in the third race. It is a rating 74 over 1,600 metres. And it's a mare that's in form, and that is by the name of Gerda. It's a horse that's racing well here at this venue. Will get track conditions to suit. Does race beyond sort of 58 kilograms for the very first time, with 59 on her back. But just with the way this race shapes up and with the form that she's in at the moment, I'm happy to be with her as my best bet on the program. Value chance, I went to race number 4. This is the 65 over 1,200 metres. Looks to be a race where there can be some good pressure up front here, and it might just play into the horse that's sitting around $15 at the moment by the name of AG Babe. So race 4, number 10, AG Babe. This horse won through the early part of the winter, did this run at AG Babe, and raced on the Cambridge Synthetic for good placings there, and a 4th most recently. So 73 days since we've seen her to the races, but I just like where she maps, where she can take that spot and behind speed. And with her at around that $15 mark, happy to go with AG Babe as the each way chance in race number 4. Well, a big thanks to everybody that has joined us on The Form this morning. Before we go, let's get a recap on all the best bets. Fingers crossed there's $1 or $2 to be made of the best bets this afternoon. Well, that wraps it up for The Form. We'll be back on Wednesday as we start to ramp it up and gear up for the first Group 1 of the racing season here in New Zealand out of Hawke's Bay. We'll see you then.